Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the UCD GNIB Immigration Registration Google Hangout. My name is Lorraine Woods. I'm the UCD International South Asia Manager. Today I'm joined by my colleague Carl Lusby, who's the UCD International Student Advisor. During this session, I know some of you have already sent in some questions, so please do keep the questions coming if you have any questions about GNIB registration. But to start off with, Carl will maybe explain a little bit about the GNIB immigration registration process and maybe some of the differences from last year and this year, and why students and what type of students maybe need to register with GNIB. So maybe, Carl, if you'd start off with just explaining what is GNIB, or what's it stand for, and what type of students need to register with the GNIB and when they need to register, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, I hope most of you got the email that I sent out to all international students in relation to the changes that are taking place in regards to the what was formerly called the Garda National Immigration Bureau. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by giving you a short intro into the whole of this, and I'm going to break it down then into new students, continuing students, and the third level graduate scheme. So I know there are questions in, so just bear with me because I'll work through it for you, okay? And hopefully most of the questions that you might have will be answered here. I should say to any of you, I did mention in my email not to send me emails in return because I simply can't answer them all at the moment. It's really busy with orientation and it's not possible for me to answer hundreds of emails right at the minute. So that's why we're having this Google Hangout. And if we feel the necessity, we put on another one maybe next week as well.
Yeah, I think the key thing for students, maybe, Carl, to remember is not to worry about this. This isn't something that they need to worry about. It's just a formality and a step, and we will give them all the information next week during orientation week and after that as well. So it's not something that they need to be kind of stressed out about before they come to Dublin.
That's very true. Thanks, Lorraine. That's true. First of all, anyway, non-EU EA students, if they're staying in Ireland for a course of studies, usually one semester or more than one semester, have to register with what was called, and we all know it as the GNIB, or the Garda National Immigration Bureau. It's located in a place called Burkey, and the new title, if you like, is Burkey Registration Office. And what all of you will be obtaining is what's called a certificate of registration. And that will be the small little green card that for all the continuing students they know as their GNIB card or the GNIB card, okay? So firstly, what I want to do is I want to speak in a general way around this whole system. Some people, and I'm going to talk in two, there's some of you who are non-EU students who are visa required, and some students who are not. The visa is the document that allows you to go in and out of the country. The card or the certificate of registration is what everybody needs. So if you're an American student, for example, you need a certificate of registration. You do not need a visa, and you will never be having a visa. You do not need one of those to come into the country, okay? Everybody else, people from India, people from China, etc., have to do both. And I think for the most part, most of you understand and know about that. So I'm going to start off, first of all, with regard to the new students. So the general points, and I'm just going to take my notes up here to make sure that I don't forget to say anything to you about it, okay? The general points is, first of all, there's a new booking system. Relationship now is a direct relationship between yourselves and the immigration officials, okay? So UCD is not going to have any special appointments. There was one remark I will make about that later on in relation to the under 18s, but otherwise there are no special appointments. We can't interfere in the process. The details about what you must do and how it works is in the email that I sent you all, okay? So I want you to read that very carefully, as I'm sure most of you have done already. And some points in particular that I would refer to is, I'm going to talk in a few minutes about the appointment booking system. But before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about some of the documents that you need to bring down. And this is, I'm talking now to new students, okay, because I'm going to add some different things in for the continuing students. First of all, people often ask about bank statements. Yes, if you're staying for a year, you do have to open a bank. You do have a bank account at least, and you do have to open one and put €3,000 into it. And there are banks. There's a bank on campus, and there's also a bank just off campus. Very easy to get to them. And in order to open a bank account, what you need is you need your Irish address, and you also need your passport. And when you go into the bank with those, now how will they show your Irish address? They usually ask for a thing called a utility bill. You won't have it because you haven't been here before. So what you can do is you make sure that you put your Irish address on your certificate up on the student information system. You can download a certificate of attendance.
It's a SysWeb. You'll see it as a link,
yeah.
SysWeb on UCD homepage. Yeah.
And you can then download a certificate of attendance with the address on it. With your passport, you can open your account. It normally takes about a week to 10 days for everything to be completed, because they have to set up the account. Then they'll take your money in within a few days. Then they issue you with an ATM card and PIN number. And this is why it's really important to get your address right, because they're going to post those out in 2 separate envelopes, and you have to have the proper address in, okay? Once you've done all that, you'll then, and once you have your money lodged, within a few days you'll be able to run off a bank statement. Now, it's important that that bank statement has your name on the top of it. If there's any issues around that, you can go into the bank and ask them to issue you with a bank statement, okay? 1 semester students, you don't require to open a bank account. So what you need to do is you need to bring with you some.
So these
evidence.
are, Carol, just to be clear,
yeah.
exchange or study abroad students. These are the 1 semester
students.
Students,
So we're talking about some of the study abroad students from America, for example. I know we also have some Chinese students here for 1 semester as well. So you are not expected by immigration to open a bank account, but you're expected to show that you have €500 per month. So you must have some evidence of a bank account. It might be your bank account, or it might be your parents' bank account. And it's also a good idea, if your parents are funding you during the period, it's a good idea to have a letter from them to say that they're sponsoring you for the duration of the few months that you'll be here, okay? And the documents must be in English as well. Students with sponsorship or scholarships, you should have that. You'll have gotten a letter to say that you're either getting sponsorship or you're getting a scholarship, and you need to have those letters with you when you go down to register in the immigration office, okay? Now, one thing that I want to just stress here at this stage, and where there's a little bit of a difference, the cert of attendance is fine for any students who are doing an undergraduate degree course, who are visiting students, who are doing a graduate certificate, for example, or a graduate diploma. Master's student who thinks that he or she may want to stay on in Ireland afterwards to avail of the 3rd level graduate scheme, which I'm sure most of you have heard about. You should get a letter, a special letter that will allow you to register for 13 instead of 12 months. And this letter is available from Yola in Smurfit, if you're a Smurfit student, okay? If you go to Carla in Science, especially we get a lot of students in negotiated learning, and she will run off those letters for you. Now, there won't be a ready immediately. We have to get, from our registry office, we have to get a database of all the students, and that won't be coming into us until maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th, around that time in September, all right? So you will be advised as to what date you can call in for these letters. Students who are not attached to either of those programs, you can come to the desk in the international office, sign a small little form to give your details and to ask for the 13-month letter. And I will do those letters at some stage, and you will be contacted to say when they're available for you to collect.
So,
okay?
yeah, so Carol, just to maybe,
yeah.
When they arrive in Ireland and they're here and maybe they're looking for accommodation and they're opening bank account, they have to have these 2 steps done before they can register register with GNIB, they can't use the address of a hotel or a hostel. They have to have their...
Well, the hotel or hostel is, you can't use that as far as the bank is concerned.
So then you can't open your bank account, and then you can't go to GNIB until you have all of this kind of done.
But we would recommend, I know some of you will be staying with your friends as well. And if your friend is happy for you to use their, if you're staying there, you are living at that accommodation at the time that you're staying there, obviously. But make sure that the friend, if there is a landlord or landlady, especially one residing in the house, that is okay with them as well. Because landlords or landladies don't want to see letters arriving, for people whom they've never heard of. Okay, so be aware of that when you're actually using an address that you might be temporarily staying at, and the landlord might know that you were temporarily staying there as well. So just be careful about that. Okay. The other thing that I get asked a bit about is medical health insurance. So if you haven't gotten this, I know that all the visa required students will have to have it, but students maybe coming from America, Canada, etc. may not have it. If you haven't it and you're not getting it at home, please have a look at our website, because there is information about it. I would say to those of you who do have it, you need to bring a document that shows that you will be covered. If you go into hospital, that you'll be covered for up to €25,000. Obviously, some of the documents are going to show that you're covered for far more than that, and that's fine. But it isn't enough to have a small credit card sized card saying you have insurance over in the United States, for example, without giving some evidence to show what the insurance covers. Okay. Now that's the basic thing. I think they're the most things that everybody
there's
asks
one
about.
question just in about bank accounts, Carl, from Gita, and Gita is saying, as a non-EU student staying here for 1 year, I need to open a bank account and give proof of the €3,000. I have that amount in my French account. Should I transfer this money to my new Irish account once created?
Yes, definitely.
That's it. Answered. Right. Definitely. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going on to do now is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the appointment booking system. Okay. Now this is going to be up. It will be up on the immigration website, the INIS, .gov.ie. Okay, and that will appear on the 8th now of September. All right, not before that. So don't start panicking and wondering why is it not up and I can't make my appointment. You can't start making an appointment until the 8th. All right. But when you do start making the appointment, I've got the booking system information here, and it is quite simple. Okay. And I know all of you are well used to booking things online these days, because most of us book our flights and everything else, and you go through a series of different things, usually putting in your personal details, etc. So basically this appointment system is the same. All right. And so you start by making an appointment. You click literally on the document to say make appointment. Then you get a choice, and the choices are, one of the choices at least is study. That's the category that you go into, and obviously study is what you click on. Then you go and you put in your name, your given name. What your given name means, it means your first name. Okay, the name that your friends call you by. My given name is Carl. Then they ask for surname. Now I know in some cultures you don't use the word surname, but for us the surname is our last name. My name is Lusby. That's my surname. Okay. Then there's date of birth, which is simple enough. Nationality, your email address, and confirm your email address again. And a lot of the time, if your UCD email is up and working, it's a good idea to use the UCD email address for this. You'll find that all of the email addresses are, usually it starts with being your student number at ucdconnect.ie, and then you can go in and you can change it to your name. Okay. So the next the category then of study, you've clicked on study. So what do you get up next? So you get up a selection, all right? And the selection ranges from PhD, masters, pre-masters, as some of you are, higher national diploma, if a person is doing a diploma, you click on that. Degree usually refers to the people who are doing a first degree, okay? Visiting student, all of you coming from through the study abroad program. So put that in for there. English language course, you won't be, none of you will be doing that. Third level graduate scheme, some of you will be talking to you later about that. And second level means somebody who's actually going to school in Ireland, so that isn't relevant. So what's relevant here is some PhD students, some masters, some pre-masters, some diplomas, and some degree and visiting student, okay? So if your card says you're an occasional student, you're a visiting student. So just remember that. Don't panic about it. What they're trying to do is just get some idea of how many of each category are around. If you clicked on degree by mistake, it wouldn't be the end of the world, okay? So it's not something to get into a worry about. If you're unsure where you fit in, if you click on degree, so don't worry about it. I'll talk in a while about the work section, which for the third level graduate scheme, so just wait for that, okay? After that, you go on and you've given your name, you've given your nationality, you've confirmed your email account. There's a question, is this a family application? The answer is no, you're a single person coming. Do you have a passport or travel document? The answer is yes. And this is why it's really important to have your passport with you when you start making the application, okay? And they do say that at the beginning, so that you can put in your passport number. At that point, you click on a button at the end of the page and it says look for appointment, all right? And at that point, you get your appointment, okay? They will, you will then, some choices, you will make your choice, and what will be printed out then is an appointment sheet. And the appointment date will read something like the 18th of August. It'll give you your name, it'll give a big long reference number, and it'll give category study-degree or study-masters, etc. Okay? Your email confirmation will be sent within 60 minutes, and your appointment is in the Registration Office, Irish Naturalisation and Immigration Service, 13 to 14 Barkey, Dublin 2. It's very near O'Connell Bridge for any of you who have arrived already. They ask that you only arrive in the office 10 minutes before your start time because they don't want people queuing outside. Genuine students know that people have been queuing there from early in the morning previously, and the hope is that this year none of that is ever going to happen and will never happen again, okay? Mm-hmm. It says you should not arrive earlier, so remember that. This is to avoid queues and crowding in the waiting area. It says you should note that we will endeavour to deal with your case within the hour, so within 1 hour of your appointment time. They do say, however, that during peak periods there may be delays, so be prepared for that as well, okay? You must bring all the required documents to your appointment, and they are giving you, as part of the whole process of application, they're going to give you the details of the documents again. So don't just depend on what I've given you. Look carefully at that and make sure that you bring all the documents, because they do say if you fail to bring the required documents, this may result in your application not being processed on the day, okay? Say that, you know, there really isn't a point in coming into me to ask me, have I all the documents? Because on the day, the registration official is going to decide whether you have them. All you can do is hope that by looking carefully and getting everything that you can together, that you'll have it. And really,
if you're unsure, bring it with you. That's what I would say. If you think, should I bring it, should I not? Definitely bring it.
If people, for example, from the US who have financial aid, bring that with you.
Yeah.
Why not? It's better to have too many documents than too few, okay?
And what I would say as well is to students, so next week we have orientation week in the university. If you come into the international office and attend some of our orientation events, and indeed even some of your own program orientation events, Carl will be there, will be attending, and will be there, and we'll also be giving out this information again. So if you're unsure of anything, you will receive this information again. And also we have printouts on in the international office at our reception desk. We're located in the Gerard Manley Hopkins Centre. You'll see signs on campus for us anyway. All of the information is here too, and you can take some of the printouts which do detail where the office is for your registration and what you need to bring with you. So there's no need to kind of be worried about it too much before you arrive in Dublin. There were one or two questions from students, Carl, who are asking, can they register before the 8th? So if they're here in Dublin, they've arrived early, they say they have their bank account open, they've everything kind of taken care of, and they're ready to apply for GNIB registration. Would you recommend them to go and do this, or would you recommend them to just maybe wait until the 8th, until the formal process begins? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, my thoughts are that it might be a good idea. I know of one case where a person who was a new student was just told to just go off and come back and do it during the through the appointment system. Continuing students, whom I'm going to talk about in a moment, I think they will more readily take you because there's far less work attached to registering continuing student. I do know of continuing students who have gone in and have been seen. So it's a matter for yourself, but just remember that the first, I had an email this morning, the first 50 people who queue up at 7 o'clock or so, office are usually, I think they're workers they take first, and then they give the tickets out afterwards to the students. But I believe it is quite ish down there at the moment. But remember, if you go in by yourself, you are accepting that you might be queuing there for a long few hours. Yeah, and I
have just maybe to mention as well, I have a question from student Mohammed, and he's saying he's an NEU student, and so this is maybe something to talk about. When students are coming through immigration, they will get a stamp on their passport. So he said his stamp is September 24th, and he said he's ready to go to GNIB. So he was asking, could he go ahead? But maybe if we could talk, just to alert students, they will get a stamp on their passport. But again, it's, if when they're making their appointment, if a student, for example, if they got a shorter stamp, or whoever they were meeting in Dublin Airport at the immigration, they stamp their passport. If they're registering with GNIB and the date that they can secure to register is after the date on their passport, it shouldn't happen. But if it did happen, is that fine, Carl? Do they need to talk to anyone about it, or can they just take the date and go and register that date?
So first of all, just to explain to any of you who are not after arriving in the country yet, what happens, especially those with an entry visa, for example, the entry visa, once you end up, when you get into the airport, the entry visa is finished, you're in. Immigration official will then stamp your passport. Now, normally they stamp it for 1 or 3 months. They should stamp it for 3 months, but sometimes if they're not completely happy with the documentation or something, they might stamp it for a month, and in the odd times they might stamp it for a week. If it happens that they do stamp it for a very short period of time, you have to go and get yourself through the bank, through all that setup, and you have to make an appointment. So you can go on the appointment system. If you don't get the appointment within the week or within the month, and you've made an effort to get on, don't worry about it then, because you can explain that when you go in to the immigration authorities that you have made an attempt to get your appointment, and that this is the earliest appointment that you could get, okay? So there should be no difficulty with that. They do understand when they're starting this appointment system now, they're running it they're going to give 6 weeks, dates 6 weeks in advance. So over that period of time, you will get a date. But remember, there are a lot of people applying to get an appointment. So if you don't get it on the first date that you want, and you have to choose another date, that's okay. Facilitate you at the beginning. They'll understand that you might be a little bit late going in.
Yeah, and I think it's good to mention as well, this is a brand new system. They're piloting it for the first time. So there could be bugs in the system, there could be tweaks that they have to make. So again, if it happens, you go onto the website and it crashes or something, it shouldn't happen. Hopefully it won't happen. But if there is anything, again, not to worry about it, we'll be notified, and if there's any communications Carol will send it out to students, so you will be notified if there's any changes, if there's any problems with it. But we're very hopeful that everything will go through smoothly. But again, it's just to mention it is a new system, so there could be something that comes up, but it'll be dealt with, and you know, it'll be all taken care of.
I'll do my best to send out any notices so that anything comes. Again, I would ask you, I know, like, if you're worried about things that you'd like to come in and ask about it, but few weeks are going to be so busy. I would ask that you do have a bit of patience with the system. Hopefully it'll all work out very well. I think it's going to be a good system, and there is only so much we can do. We can't fix it for you. You know, if something goes wrong, you might have to go back in again and book yourself for another day. You won't be deported out of the country if you'll be making efforts to try and get yourself an appointment, you know. And obviously if there's anything very serious comes up, but ideally read all your paperwork very closely. Look at the appointment system when it comes up, go through it slowly and make your appointment. And I think it should all work out fine, okay?
There's a few questions, and I just want to say we will answer all the questions. I know we're going through information, but please we will get through all of your questions in this session. There was just one other thing, Carol, just in relation to immigration before we move on again. A student, Isabella, has said she was flagged at immigration. Now, she doesn't say what way she was flagged, and she's wondering, did it happen to anyone else? Is this something? Do you regularly have students who have any issues at Dublin immigration or anything like that? Is that just perhaps a kind of a one-off? Okay. So even she could contact us directly, but maybe just if there's any issues at immigration.
Isabella, what you mean by flagged? But sometimes if people come through, and I mean, I suppose this is actually a good example. Have your documentation on hand. It's no good putting your offer letter, for example, in your luggage that you're going to collect from the luggage belt. Now, I'm sure you didn't probably do that, so without knowing your circumstances. Sometimes if an immigration official is a little bit unhappy about the documentation, or they don't like the look of something, they can go and give you, talk to you about it, and maybe not be very happy about it. And they might start a period of time. The thing to remember, I suppose, is that just always be polite to the immigration officials, because they do have discretion. You know, they have people coming in from all over the world, and they have to make judgment calls at times. And sometimes maybe it might appear that it's unfair as far as you're concerned, but from their perspective, they're looking at it and seeing that maybe there is a document that they don't like the look of, or they're not happy about, etc. You know, if there are any serious situations like that, you can certainly come in and let us know about it. But we're hoping for the most part.
It's not the norm that we'd have any kind of issues.
Most of the students get through the airport fairly smoothly. You know, but again, there's, there can be the occasion at times, so be aware of that.
Now, Carl, just before we again move on to other things, just to kind of go back to the start of the process again, students again are asking about bank accounts, and do they have to open an Irish bank account, or can they show the funds in their own bank account? As a student, the answer to that is no. Please open a bank, an Irish bank account and transfer. A student, Priyal, who's asking, I want to know if it's necessary to have €3,000 in my Irish bank account, as my father will be sponsoring me. Will it be okay if I provide an affidavit that confirms the same on when registering with GNIB? Would this be okay on stamp headed paper? No.
For a year, you need to put 3,000.
Yeah, it has to be transferred.
Needs to put his sponsored money in at the beginning with 3,000, and after that he can every month as necessary. It's only the people who are only coming for one semester that can have a letter from the parents.
Oh, okay, perfect. The reason Isabella has just confirmed the reason why she was stopped was her mom was with her, and they thought that maybe her mom was trying to enter the country with me, but was coming on holidays, so that's fine. That's a misunderstanding then. So she had everything with her acceptance letter, but I wouldn't worry about that then.
Maybe they obviously were seeing the two of you coming through, and obviously your mum was coming on a visitor visa, and you were coming on the study visa.
Okay, not to worry about that.
I'm not sorry if you weren't coming on a study visa, but you were coming in as a student with a student letter.
Perfect. Okay, so do you want to move on to the kind of the next bits and pieces?
The next bit I want to say is I'm going to just talk a little bit to continuing students, okay? Because one of the things that I know I got some questions back is the information that I sent out on the email a few days ago was kind of generic information for all students. And again, one of the questions I was being asked, do we need our passport? So yes, you do. Everybody needs their passport number in order to log on to the appointment system, okay? You must have that. Now, the continuing student, the one who had a GNIB card before, you also need to have your GNIB card, your GNIB number, to put in that. Now, one of the questions I was being asked was evidence of finances. Generally speaking, for continuing students, they don't ask you to show the 3,000 in your bank account again. However, if you do have a statement from the bank and you want to bring it along, do. But in general, they don't ask for it. But what they do ask for is they ask for health insurance. And so make sure that you have your health insurance.
There's actually a few questions coming in around health insurance, Carol.
Yeah.
People asking, do they have to buy it before they come to Ireland, or do they buy it when they're in Ireland? And then one student has asked, do you need a PPS number to buy health insurance?
Okay, well, first off, if you're coming from a non-visa required country, you don't have to buy it before you come over here. A lot of people choose to in their own country, and that's up to yourself. Have a look on our website and you'll see the details of the kind of insurance that's available. And you can buy that when you come over here. Some of the insurances, for example, you can actually just go online and buy it while you're still at home.
So you don't need a PPS
you
number.
don't need a PPS number for those. There are, I think, some of the insurance companies with the insurance in some cases might ask for a PPS number. Mm-hmm. But to just explain briefly about a PPS number, that's like an American Social Security number, okay? Now, formerly, students could just walk in and get a PPS number, but now you actually have to have a reason for getting it. You have to have evidence of a job or a scholarship or something like that. So it isn't simple that you just get a PPS number and then you can apply it, do anything you like. So if anyone does need to get a PPS number, we have a leaflet here as well.
This is more for students who are looking for part-time work, or looking to stay and do full-time work. So if you're not planning on working, you don't necessarily need to get a PPS number. It's only if you want to work.
And in fact, you wouldn't get one because they won't give it to anybody who can't
not needed.
That they're not working. So therefore, for the health insurance, you wouldn't get one if it was only for that. You know.
If you do go to our website, if you want some information about the health insurance, there is on the UCD International website, there is information about private health insurance, and there are some of the companies we've detailed on the website. They do have special rates and offers for UCD students, so you can check there also. Yeah. So that's something just to be aware of about health insurance.
Health insurance before you leave, you know, and download. A document which shows exactly what it is, and that's acceptable to the immigration.
And another question just around health insurance, and we're talking about it. Colin is asking if he's from the US, and he's asking, can I use my own health insurance from the US?
Yes, provided that you need to have something that shows exactly what you're entitled to with it, okay?
There has to be a certain amount of cover.
Yeah, the cover is, and again, that was on the document that I sent you around. You need to have 25,000. To explain this, because some people have come back to me and said, is it going to cost 25,000? It's not. Health insurance is not that expensive. It means that if you went into hospital, that you would be covered up to 25,000.
That's very serious if you're in a very serious illness.
It would be unlikely now that you'd ever spend that amount. And as you know, an awful lot of the insurance policies that you get cover you up to 50 and 100,000, etc. So just have something to show that that's what your insurance does, okay?
Yeah.
And that it covers you outside of the country as well. That's an important consideration.
There's just one or two more questions around bank accounts when we're talking about this, Carl. Shantanu is asking, I wanted to ask, does one have to set up a bank account before taking an appointment at GNIB, or can one take up an appointment before setting up a bank account? So the answer is very clear. Please set up a bank account. So two things you need to do. If you haven't got accommodation, find accommodation and set up your bank account before you look for GNIB appointments. That's just to clear up that if there's any confusion around that. Leah is asking, if I'm only staying for one semester, how much money do I need to prove that I have? And do I need to? So again, if you're a one semester, and so these students, if
so
they're going to GNIB,
probably,
that's fine.
I was going to say something about the bank now, but I've forgotten anyway. Yeah,
that's okay. That's fine. There's a couple of questions from undergrad students if they're under 18, Carl. So maybe talk if a student is under 18, and it's usually an undergraduate student, a non-EU student. They're slightly different. So could you just explain maybe what they have to do if you're younger students?
I wrote, and I don't, if any of you are on there and I haven't written to you.
Student's called Lee.
I'm going to take a note of that, Lee, because I have written to the under 18 students asking them to sign a guardianship waiver form. We're hoping in years to come that things will change a bit, but at the moment, the immigration authorities want a person from UCD to go in with the student. Now, for example, if you're living in Ireland, or you have friends over here who are sort of your guardian while you're over here, they can obviously go in with you. It doesn't have to be me. It's just if it turns out that there's nobody else, I'm the one, or else one of the other staff members in the Centre for Study Abroad may also go in. So my intention over the next few days is to contact all of you again, to have a little meeting with you, maybe next week, to have a chat with you about when you will go in, etc. Okay? So just you can come at some point to try and meet with me. If you haven't heard anything from me, come in and make yourself known that you're under 18.
Yeah, so maybe this is a good time just to mention, please keep an eye on your emails, and please check, you should have access to your UCD Connect email. Please check it also, so information will be sent regularly to students. And I do say it, and I say it all the time when I meet students, please read the emails that the university is sending, because they are important. We're not just sending emails for the sake of sending. All of these emails are important, and you will be receiving, I know you are receiving probably a lot of emails about registration and orientation, but it's important at the start of the year just to bear in mind that all of these emails, there might be some action that you need to take. So you should have received an email from Carl Lee, but just maybe check your emails again, and if not, you know that you should be receiving another one. If you don't receive it, do call in then, and we can give you the information.
Exactly. And just for any of you, in case there are any people listening in here now today from study group, because I know a lot of students who are under 18 or in attendance at study group. So talk to them about that, because I will be liaising with them as well, okay?
Just a question, a general question, Carl, from Sanal. And Sanal is saying, I'll be reaching UCD in mid-September. How can I register for GNIB, and what's the last date? So we've mentioned that it opens on the 8th, but we haven't spoken about kind of timelines after that. So if you're not the 8th, can you register after that?
The first thing I'd say is that, remember, you can go on the web from anywhere. But so when it opens on the 8th, they actually are not going to start doing that appointment system until the 15th. So there's no reason why you can't go. If you estimate, we'll say that you're arriving in on the 7th or 8th, and it's going to take you 10 days to 12 days to get your bank account set up. If you can see an appointment towards the end of September, for example, there's no reason why you can't go for such an appointment. Okay. So remember, the important thing is that you can actually log on from any place to look at the appointment system, and then just follow the instructions. But there will be no appointments. No one will be going in on this new appointment system before the 15th. What their plan is initially is that they're going to put dates for 6 weeks from the 15th. So you can book any time during that period, okay? And it's going to be on a rolling basis. So it'll be 6 weeks from the 15th, and then from the 16th and the 17th, etc., okay? kind of adding on dates as the first ones kind of expire. Okay.
Again, there's still a few more questions around bank accounts.
Yeah.
Carl, students are asking, I need to bring a school letter to open, as in a university letter to open my bank account. What kind of letter do I need to bring? What do I need to, how do I open a bank account? Basically, it is all on the website. So this is everything that we're talking about here is detailed on the UCD International website. So ucd.ie/international. Just to also note, for anyone who doesn't know, there is a bank on campus, so that's very useful. There's an AIB bank on campus where you can open your bank account. But maybe, yes, so students again asking just what documents do I need to open bank accounts?
Right? Documents, basically. They need 1, your passport, and 2, your evidence of your address. That's what they want, right? They need an Irish address. And how you provide the evidence is, for convenience for you, because you don't have what's called a utility bill, you can put your address in on your student information system, SIS web, and then there is a facility to download a certificate of attendance, and that will have your address on it. And so
that's your university school letter. Your letter.
Yeah, that's it. And the bank are quite happy to see that letter with the address. If you have your student card on you, you can bring that over as well. The important thing is the passport, and the other one is the address in Ireland, and this letter from the school will suffice for that. Okay.
Now, this is a good question from a student. They're asking about, so Gita is an exchange student coming from France who is non-EU. They need to come back to France by November to renew their visa, and then come back by December, and they're getting, I think, a new passport as well. Do you think that there will enough time to open the account, get the GNIB and a multi-entry visa before November? So maybe just to talk about students who are looking at multi-entry visas and that procedure, and why would you get a multi-entry visa? And sometimes students don't think they won't need a multi-entry, but maybe just talk about some examples where you've had students contacting you about multi-entry visas.
Okay, so this was last on my list of things.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'll say it here now as well. Students who are from a visa-required country need, if they intend leaving Ireland, they need to get either a re-entry or a multi-entry visa in order to come back into the country, okay? Now, they also need to get, if they intend going to any other country, they intend going to London in England, for example, or even if they intend going up to the northern Irish states, there's a nice city up there called Belfast, for example, you need to have a UK visa. If you intend doing a lot of traveling around Paris and Rome and all these lovely places, you need to have a Schengen visa. So Ireland has its own visa, Europe has its own visa, and the UK have their own visa. So there's 3 types, and if you want to do any traveling, you need to have them, okay? So what the system with the re-entry visas at the moment is, they actually went online last year, and it's proving to be working for the most part. Sometimes there can be a few delays, but it is working. So what I would suggest to Gita is that after you get your GNIB card, or sorry, I should be calling it a certificate of registration, okay? You can then apply for your re-entry, multi-entry visa. And what they would like, again, there's an information sheet. We have information up on our web. We have information sheets here in our office that you can collect to show exactly how the system works. Basically, you have 2 options with the re-entry, multi-entry. You can either do registration, or you can do an online one in order to get an appointment. Now, the best one, the one that they want most people to do, is to send it by post or mail, okay? What they want you to do is they want you to send all your documents plus an application form, etc., by a registered mail.
And your passport as well.
Yeah. You will not, you cannot send it by ordinary mail. You have to go into the post office. And as it turns out, we have a post office just up the stairs from our office here where we're sitting at the moment, okay? You can go in there. You can hand in the documentations. We have all the information about what you require. Plus, you can look at the immigration website anyway.
It's very secure. Sometimes students are uncomfortable posting passports, but registered post is very secure.
Very secure.
So that's something you don't need to worry about.
All of the people in the immigration office, when a registered piece of post comes in, they have to sign for that. You can track it. You can track it online, and you'll know the name of the person who signed for it. So it's completely safe. About 10 days for your, at the most, for your documents to be sent to them and for them to send it back. And the one thing I'd say about that is make sure your address is very clear in everything that you do, because they will be sending stuff back by registered post as well.
So first thing to note is you have to register with GNIB first before you can get your multi-entry visa.
Yes.
And then I think, Carl, you mentioned as well, sometimes students, you're encouraging students, if you in any way think you're going to travel or leave the country for whatever reasons, to apply for the multi-entry visa, because even I think you had some examples of students who got an opportunity to go to conferences and attend these type of activities that they didn't think, so they never thought when they arrived in Ireland that they'd be leaving Ireland for any reason. But then an opportunity came up, which is wonderful, but they very, very quickly had to move and get a multi-entry visa and, you know, take steps very quickly. So that's kind of another, if you in any way think you might be interested in doing something like that.
I think that's very important to emphasize with all of you. Now, can I just say, American, Canadian, Brazilian students, you do not need a visa. You didn't need one to come in. You don't need one to go out. So don't even use the word visa in relation to yourselves, because you don't need one, okay? You just need to get this certificate of registration. Just register
with GNIB, yes.
However, if you're visa required, you do need to get it. And I'm really emphasizing, and I'm going to be going around doing a number of different talks, I would emphasize that as soon as you get your certificate of registration, that you immediately apply for the multi-entry visa, because really people have lost the opportunity to go to conferences because of, especially at Christmas. If people leave it, what happens to a certain extent is to just tell you the bad part as well, it does cost €300 for a certificate of registration, and it costs 100 for a multi-entry visa.
And just maybe to mention that they can't pay in cash for these. They have to. That's just something to bear in mind. Don't go down to register.
I sent you as well. You need to have, if you're going to for a certificate of registration, you need to have your ATM card with you, or you can go in and get what's called a bank gyro form. But ideally, just have
like
your
a check
card with you. However, with the re-entry, multi-entry visa, they accept what's called a bank draft or a postal order. And again, you can go to the post office and ask them for a postal order for €100 and include it with the documentation.
Which looks like a check, basically.
Or you can go to the bank and say, can I have a bank draft? I know for some of you, you've never heard of those things, but we have them over here in Ireland. And you just go in and ask for the thing that you've been advised to get, you know.
It's basically instead of cash. They don't want to handle cash in these offices. They want to have it in a check or a bank draft type of a format. That's something to just bear in mind as well.
So once you do all that, you'll be able to, now, just talk about the re-entry, multi-entry for a minute. You need to go through the documentation again before you send anything off, because they need a passport photograph as well. And they do sometimes, if an emergency came up and you didn't have it, they will sometimes do emergency appointments, but it costs €160 and they only give you a single entry, okay? And a single entry is only valid for 90 days. So ideally, get all of this stuff done here, and then you can forget about it, okay? Can I say one other thing? Sorry, Lorraine.
No, go ahead.
Guard your card, your certificate of registration card, very carefully, as you would your passport, because if your wallet is stolen and you've got that card in it, it's going to cost you another €300 for a replacement. So be extra careful with it, okay?
Yeah, that's a good tip, to mind it as you would mind your passport. Keep
mind
it safe.
Your wallet as well, as we're talking about. Ireland is a very safe country, but again, sometimes there can be pickpockets around in crowded places, and especially in cafes and pubs. So don't throw your coat or your bag over in the corner and start chatting to your friends. Just be aware of where you have your bag in particular, or your coat. Don't put your wallet in your back pocket. Okay.
That's fine. I think just to mention as well, I will put up the links. I know some people are saying, what documents do I need at immigration? What documents do I need to open a bank account? I'll put up the links on this page. So on the where the Google Plus page is for this Google Hangout, I'll put up these links from our website so that you can see them, and you'll have the details there. Again, you will get all of this information next week, so there's nothing to kind of be.
Yep.
No, we're not finished. There's actually one more question, Carl, just around the PPS number. A student is asking for the insurance company, they were told that they need the PPS number. We've kind of covered that. Some may ask for it, some may not ask for it, depending on how much you're paying for the insurance. If you're going for a more expensive health insurance. But for the health insurance that's listed on our website, you don't need that. Now, that is the basic health insurance, which is fine. It covers you and it is fine. But it's a little bit different. But this student is also saying they're hoping to do an internship in Dublin, and do they need a PPS number for that? For their internship. So I don't know what program you're studying, Reza.
But if you need it, Reza, you'll be able to get it if there's a good reason.
They'll ask you for
the PPS people now ask. They want to know why you want a PPS number, okay? And it's generally for work. There's no problem with giving you a letter. You're doing an internship and you require a PPS number.
Yeah. Some internships may require it, some may not. It depends on the internship. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because the whole idea of it is that a PPS number is for somebody to be registered for tax purposes and all the rest of it, you know. That's what the object of the PPS is.
Another general good question from Palav, who's asking, do we need to carry our registration card or certificate at all times?
Strictly speaking, yes. However, usually people are not stopped the guards don't pull up people just randomly like that in town, but you are obliged to have your your registration card. So mind it carefully, okay?
Yeah. Another general question that we can answer very quickly from Gab: is there a way to waive the €300 fee as a student? Can we get it waived? No.
The only people who can get a €300 fee waived, because they're not charged, so it's a good question to ask, are the under 18s.
I didn't know that. There we go. So sorry if you're over 18.
Else, you have to pay it. That's the charge, and you have to pay it. End of story.
Perfect. Let me see so yes, actually, maybe if you could talk this is a question from Zoe around the third level graduate scheme. So I'm a postgraduate student who just turns, so for somebody who is a postgraduate student, it will affect most immediately. So either for your current student who's finishing their thesis or a student who's starting a postgraduate master's, this applies to you. So this is a student, Zoe, who is a UCD student who's finishing her thesis at the minute, and she is saying she's just turned in her thesis. Her GNIB will expire at the end of September, but the final result will not be released until later, which means she can't apply for the third level graduate scheme yet. Correct or not correct? What should she bring to the GNIB office to extend my visa? So maybe, Carl, if you talk about students who are in this situation, who are either starting a master's program or who are just finishing up a master's program and doing their thesis at the minute, what do they do for the third level?
So I'm just going to talk, Zoe, a little bit.
Maybe to just say what it is. What it is. Yeah.
So, and I'll address your particular question in a minute, okay?
Yeah.
So, first of all, the third level graduate scheme. So this allows, and this is interesting for the new students coming in as well, especially the master's students, whom we have a lot of. The third level graduate scheme allows students to stay on in Ireland for one more year to look for work, or to, if they have a job, to work at that job. At the end of the year, that's the end of the third level graduate scheme, and you will never ever get it again. So whether you might go back to do further education or anything. What you then have to do is you have to look at the whole area of employment, getting a work permit. There are different categories of those, and we don't go into giving much information around that area, but there is a government department called the Department of Jobs, Enterprise and Innovation that you contact in relation to that. Okay. Now, what happens with third level graduate scheme? So first of all, what students get is when a student has a certificate of attendance, it's called a stamp 2. And you'll see that marked on the little card that you get, okay?
So this is when you register with GNIB.
When you're registering, when you're a student, just coming in as a student or continuing as a student.
Yeah.
When you finish and you want to go for the third level graduate scheme, and the kind of people who can get the third level graduate scheme are a person who has completed a master's satisfactorily, or an undergraduate degree satisfactorily, or a graduate diploma satisfactorily. Sorry about that. This phone is ringing here, but it will allow you to get this. It's called 1G now. Okay, so you get a new stamp, new card, and it says it's 1G, and it means that you are eligible to look for work or work for a year. Okay. And
we should say there's no restrictions around this. It doesn't.
No, you can work
it's for any non-EU students. If you do want to stay and work in Ireland, there's no problem with doing that. You just have to have finished your master's.
The restriction is that you must have finished.
Yeah, you have to have finished. Yeah,
you can't or a diploma, a higher level diploma.
Yeah.
It's not for somebody who's a visiting student.
No, exactly.
Example,
yeah. You've been
Now this is the issue that you're asking about. I want to just say about the appointment, going back to the appointment system for a minute. I was talking to a graduate student yesterday, and I said, if you went on this appointment system as he was looking at it, would you click? You had options around study, work, etc. And he said, I'd click work. So that's fine, because they have what they've done actually, which is very good, I suppose, in one way, is that you can click work or you can click study. When you're going to make your appointment, and you'll be brought into an options, and one of the options is the third level graduate scheme. Most people to click work because that's what you're hoping to do. You're going on to hopefully work, and then you'll get an appointment in the GNIB. Okay. Now I know that one of the issues is that what am I going to do if my immigration card is running out on the end of September, and my results are not out until the end of October. I suppose there's a few options on that. The first thing is, if you already have a job and you want continuity, you can. They have agreed that under certain circumstances that students will be able to get the third level graduate scheme on the basis of the provisional results. And the provisional results issue on the 5th of October. Must be in that position. If again they are a student of Smurfit, they can contact Yola, whom all of you know, for a letter in relation to that. Okay, but she is asking for evidence that you have employment. You can also contact Carla in Science in relation to this. And any other students can come in and contact me. You can send me an email, or you can.
So this is only if you have a job already,
yes.
Carl. So I am, let's say, for example, I am a master's student. I have just finished my thesis. I've already job interviews. I've secured. I've been offered a job. I'm happy. I want to take it. I need to come into you, let's say, and get this letter that I will use for the GNIB, but I will have to make an appointment online. That's the
immigration, yeah. And now,
for the
Zoe, you're in a situation where you may or may not have a job, but your passport is running out on the 30th of September. And there are, the vast majority of the postgraduate students at this stage will have their certificate of attendance running out on the 31st of October, but some are on September. In your case, you can have two choices, I suppose. The immigration authorities will sometimes stamp your passport for the few weeks until your final official results come in, or alternatively, I am prepared to give letters to people if
if they're looking for jobs,
if they're looking for jobs in that circumstance.
Yeah,
I'm not recommending, you see, to people
Yeah.
that if they haven't got a job and if their card is stamped until the end of October, why go in early?
Yes,
You could go in at the
there's
end
no
of
need to
October
worry
and get
about
12
it. Yeah,
months from then, you know.
Yeah.
So certainly, Zoe, you could come in. Don't come in this week or next week, but because you don't need to anyway.
Yeah.
What I'm actually doing, to just flag this up to anybody who's listening in relation to this third level graduate scheme, I'm going to have a kind of an open day on the 5th, which is the day that the provisional results come out. So if students, when they get the results, and if they can download a copy of the provisional results, if they want to come in to me and are happy to sit around, we'll help them with letters, okay?
Yeah. So that's for students if you're dated in October. The stamp is for October.
If you're dated in September.
Oh, September.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also just say, as we're talking area, that to just explain to the new students that permission to work. Anybody who has a stamp 2, this is any full-time student who's staying here for a year or more, you are entitled to work. And you're entitled, the rules around it are as follows. You're entitled to work 20 hours per week during term time and 40 hours per week during specified periods. And the periods that you can work up to 40 hours are June, July, August, and September. They just recently changed that to September, which is very good. So you can work those 4 months up to 40 hours. You can also work between the 15th of December, January. But otherwise, you can only work 20 hours. A person who is coming in for one semester, or a visiting student, an occasional student, a study abroad student who is only here for one semester, if you look at your card after you get it, you'll see it says 2A on it. That does not allow you to work. You're not allowed to work if you're only here for a few months. Okay?
Now, and the other thing would be, we would definitely not recommend anyone to be working if you're only here for a semester. You're here to study.
Yeah.
And actually, even for myself, when I'm talking to students, I don't recommend students work part-time when they're studying in Ireland. I think if you're coming, try and have enough funds that will cover your costs so that you don't have to worry about part-time work or, you know, earning kind of extra money to support yourself. Try and have enough funds with you to cover your costs, because you can, you know, you're going to be busy with your studies. You're going to be in classes during the day. You might be in the library in the evening, so you might not necessarily have time to work part-time, and you don't want to be stressed out about this kind of thing when you're in the university. So that is my personal recommendation. Obviously, as Carl mentioned, you can work. There's no issues if you do want to work part-time, but just bear in mind that, you know, your number one focus is your studies when you're here, not working or part-time work or anything like that. But it is possible, and students do it. Students juggle it. It's fine if you can do it, but just to be aware of that as well, that you will be busy.
I want to add on to that as well, that you don't assume that you will get part-time work either, you know, because it isn't all that easy to get it. So as you know, for any, especially people who are visa required, the immigration authorities say that you must show 7,000 in your account. But realistically, now 7,000 really isn't enough for a year. You need to be thinking in terms, it does very, very much depend on what accommodation you get, but you would need to be thinking in terms of having 10,000 for the year or even 12,000. Because I had 1 or 2 students coming in to me saying that they had 7,000 and they found that their money was running out and they had to get extra money from home. So just be aware of that. If you're thinking of coming here and that you're definitely going to get a job and you're going to have your living expenses out of that job, because there's not an awful lot of part-time work available, even for Irish students who have often
a lot, even in the, sometimes the people will say to me, students will ask me, oh, can I get part-time work in the university? Not really. We have our own staff who work in admin roles in offices and in restaurants and in the cafes. They're full-time staff, so we don't really have that many part-time positions in the university. Those kind of jobs are covered by people working full-time, so there's not, it's not just something that's available. So again, just to be kind of clear on that, if you think that you might get a job in the university, there will be very rarely part-time jobs. They're full-time. People are doing the full-time roles in those kind of areas. Just 1 or 2 questions, Carl, I just want to cover. Palav is asking about carrying the card. Can the students carry a photocopy of the card? So maybe that might be a good idea as well.
I can't say that you could do that.
It's up to you, basically.
But maybe that is an idea, but I can't actually tell you to do that, okay?
That's okay. The other question I just want to, there's a student actually, Lee, who's come back and he said, is police vetting required for medical students? I'm under 18 and do I need a guardian with me if police vetting is necessary? Just this is very specific, quickly, just to kind of cover. Yeah.
What happens, there's the Garda are the police in Ireland, and before there was Garda vetting and there was Garda National Immigration Bureau, and there was always a confusion about. Yes, if you're a medicine student, you will need Garda vetting. Deal with that area. When you come in next week, you'll be going to a load of orientation up in medicine, and one of the things you'll be going to is a talk about Garda vetting. It's completely different to anything to do with immigration. It's a totally different thing, and I actually don't know if, because you're under 18, there will be any issue on that. I haven't heard of any, but I don't know. And that's a question for the woman, Eva is her name, or Eve, who deals with that area of Garda vetting, and there will be a meeting definitely next week.
So you'll get the information, you don't worry about it at the minute. Just a question around the €7,000. So Gita has come back to me asking, I have to show that I have enough money to support myself while in Ireland, access to €7,000. Does this mean that I have to transfer that amount of money to my bank accounts?
Well, when I said 7,000, Gita, I'm not sure if I think you are visa required because you were asking about.
Yeah, this is the French student who's non-EU.
When you were applying for your entry visa, that's one of the requirements. It's not a requirement for when you get over here. They're two separate things. You apply for your entry visa and they want to see that you have enough money to live on for the year. When you get here, they've already accepted from the documentation that you've sent to them that you have enough to get an entry visa for Ireland. When you get into Ireland, 3,000 in your account. So don't mix up the two.
So I think,
things.
and Gita has just said her father is sponsoring her. So that's fine. We're just kind of saying, please make sure you have enough money during the year. So if you've shown enough for your visa, that's fine, but that's the minimum amount. We're just saying, please ensure that you have enough to cover your costs. So in general in Ireland, we say you should have between 10 and 12,000, really €12,000 for the full year. This is for your living expenses. So this is to cover your accommodation, your food, your clothes, any kind of books or anything like that, transport. So everything like that.
That's for the person who's here as a master's student.
So that's for somebody who's here for one full year. That's we would generally recommend for students.
An undergraduate degree could have a little bit less than that
because they won't have the summer. So that's how we're talking. So sorry if that was unclear, but that's the reason we're just talking a little bit about that. Let me see if there's any other questions. Maybe sorry, Zoe has come back. So just to be clear again on the third level graduate scheme. So she is not currently employed. So a student who is finishing their master's degree, let's say, and they're doing their thesis, not currently employed. Now her stamp is for the end of September. So she's saying, should she wait and meet with you in October and also make an appointment online with the GNIB, or come in before then? So this is again specific, but just to cover it, because it will be some students
with me and make an appointment.
So before her stamp runs out. Right.
I know. I would meet with me and make an appointment for as near to the 5th of October. As
so it doesn't matter that her stamp is after.
It's only a few days.
It's okay. So that's fine. So that's clear then.
As soon as the system is up and running, if you go on and get yourself an appointment for the 5th or 6th of October, come in to me beforehand.
That's fine. Okay. That's fine. Again, someone is asking, is there any last date for GNIB registration for the for students who are coming in? There isn't, but you should try and make an appointment.
There is, I suppose, in the sense that when you come through the airport, they stamp your passport. So there is a last date. But so what you do ideally is, I mean, most people want to get their cards and everything done in the first month anyway, don't they?
Yeah.
Even if it says that you could be here until November without doing it, generally speaking, you'd go earlier than that.
Yeah.
So try to get in within. If it's a shorter period of time, it may, because they've stamped you for a week or 2 weeks, it may be that you're slightly outside of that because you're waiting for the appointment system to be set up, for example. So in that case, obviously do it as quick as you can.
Yeah.
But the person who's at 3 months has 3 months stamped, I would recommend that you do it over the first month or so. But if it doesn't happen, you'll be fine over the second month and third month. Okay.
This is a very specific question for Vahid, but it's just something to touch on. There wouldn't be as many students doing this, but he is saying, I'm an non-EU citizen going to start a course in graduate certificate in clinical research. As the course is for less than 90 days, so this is a very short certificate that he's doing. I got a short stay visa. Does this mean I don't have to register with GNIB? Is that correct? So
that is correct.
That's correct.
So you see, people who register with GNIB are, if you're more than 89 days in the state, you're supposed to register with them. So you don't have to. You got a different kind of a visa to anybody
short
else.
Stay visa.
To what most people are getting. You got a short stay, specific time. You're coming. You're going.
Yeah,
that's it.
And this is different than someone who's coming as an exchange or study abroad student because they don't have a visa.
Yes.
So they still have to register with GNIB.
The reason they do is because they are 89 days. Usually you will not be stamped at the airport. If you were stamped at the airport for any more than that and they gave you until the last day that you were due to stay here, for example, the 22nd of December, well, then if you're stamped, you don't need to go down. But the majority of you will not be stamped up to the end. You'll have come in on about maybe the 5th or 6th of September. And the longest you'll be stamped is up to about the 5th or 6th of December. And that is not the 22nd of December.
You have to do your exams,
you do have to go and register.
So just to be clear about that, but Vahid is different because he's at a short stay visa and it's a clinical certificate. So he's not coming as an exchange or study abroad. So yes, so that's correct, Vahid, for that. Okay, that's perfect. I think we've covered, pretty much. Is there anything else, Carl, that you need to mention? I think we've covered a lot of the questions already. Again, students asking about what do I need to open a bank account. I'll put the link on this Google Plus page, on my Google Plus page, so you can see it there. Just so you know, again, some students asking about what documents they need when they're coming through Dublin Airport at immigration. We did cover this, but again, it's your UCD documents, your offer letter, anything, if you have a scholarship or anything like that.
Scholarship, if you have fees paid, anything like that. Bring more the merrier. Bring plenty, you know.
There's one actually question that I want to cover that we didn't cover yet, and it's for small group students, but specific. So a student, Naomi, who is an Erasmus Plus or an Erasmus Mundus student, she is a funded student, and she will be receiving a stipend each month. So this is a very specific funded type of a student, and she's saying, does she need to show the €3,000, or can she present her document that certifies she will receive money each month through her stipend? Is that fine for GNIB registration? So this is if you're an Erasmus Plus or an Erasmus Mundus type of a student who's funded and is receiving money monthly into their account through funding. Carl,
you're in a similar position to somebody. For example, some of the Malaysian students are sponsored by their government, and they get money every month or every few months into their account. So once you show that, if you show evidence, there's a lot of our PhD students, for example, are funded by what's called Science Foundation Ireland, and they get money every month. They don't have the 3,000, but they're getting, and it's obvious from the letter that you have that you are being funded every month. You're getting a stipend and you're getting your fees paid. You bring that down, you show it. And there should be no difficulty. Same at the airport, you show it at the airport as well, okay?
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So,
there was one other group of students, Carl, that we didn't talk about. So if you are a current undergraduate UCD student, maybe you've just finished first year and you're going into second year and you need to register again with GNIB, what is the procedure for you to do that? And do you need to show the €3,000 again in your second year. We haven't covered that, so maybe if you could
did.
talk about. Did we? Oh, sorry.
Maybe
Maybe just to do it again, just do the question in around it.
Continuing students,
yes,
or those undergraduates, as I said, I mentioned evidence of finances. You don't normally have to show that, and I don't expect they'll be asking this year either, but I don't know. If you have, bring it along. If you don't have, don't bring it along. You do have to bring your GNIB card. You do have to have medical health insurance. You have to get that every year, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you do have to have your passport and your student card and the certificate to say that you're a student here, okay? So you need all that. And for any new students who are coming in to do a course for a few years, you have to register every year. Now, they are looking at doing multiple registrations. It hasn't been brought in yet. They're talking about trying to bring it in at some stage this year. If that will happen. And that might mean that they would allow people, for example, medicine students, that they'd allow them to register for 2 or 3 years instead of just the 1 year. So that's something that's on the line, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we'll see about it later on again.
I think we've covered all of the questions that have been asked by the students. So thank you so much for all of your questions. And there's one last question just from Nijar, who's saying, do we need to take our national ID with us? Now, I don't know whether this is with you to Ireland, with you to GNIB. Is it your passport? Is it another national ID or a national ID number? But obviously, you'll be carrying your passport with you, and you will need that.
If you're doing, if you're going to anybody official like that, you just need to have your passport. Yeah. And while I'm thinking about it, so I don't know what you mean by your national ID. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have an ID card in your country as well.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be necessary. But what you do need is the passport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I say to anybody, if in the course of the time that you're here in UCD that you want to come in to me about anything, or you have any issues, if it's anything to do with immigration, bring your certificate of registration with you. Mm-hmm. And bring your passport as well, because sometimes I have people coming in asking me questions and then they don't know what the number is on their card. They don't know when it expires, etc.
Yeah.
So just to make it all easier, you know.
Yeah.
And can I add 2 other things now that has nothing to do with this specifically? I want to say that next week, first of all, I won't be in the office very much if anybody happens to want to drop in to see me, because I'll be doing a lot of talks. And first off, for anybody, I'm Perfect Master's students tomorrow, and I'm going to go over all this information again. Then next week, I'm speaking to negotiated learning students, in case there's any of you tuned in at the moment. I'm also speaking to science students. I'm speaking to Master in Public Health. Let's see who else. I'm going
speaking to all of the Indian students in particular.
Students.
Yeah.
So
you will be attending we will. Maybe just to mention a little bit next week, orientation takes place in the university next week. If you go again to the website, ucd.ie/international, where all of this information we're talking about is detailed, and also the orientation information is detailed, you will see the orientation events that are taking place. And we will have an international student welcome. Cara will be attending that. That's for all international students, where the president of the university will be attending also. So you will. Cara will be speaking at that as well, and you will have an opportunity maybe to talk to her afterwards at the event. There will be time for kind of chatting to staff from the university. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to meet with the UC International staff and with the other staff from the colleges and schools next week. Please look at this information on the website. If you've gotten emails, please note some of the orientation details. If you've gotten emails from your school or your college about orientation events, if you can, because all of this information will be given out again during these events. So it's something we're trying to make as much contact with students in advance of your program starting on the 12th of September. But it is important that you kind of make yourself make yourself aware of when these events are taking place. So you should have gotten emails, but it is on the website as well. So don't be kind of leaving it last minute to check this, because it will be all starting from Monday onwards.
Exactly,
a lot of these events, and it's important for you to get this information. But as Carl said, she will be visiting the different colleges and schools next week. So you may already have a session scheduled with her that you're not aware of as such. So there's no need to kind of come in and meet separately, because there might be something already there for your program.
Because realistically, there's so many students coming in. I'm not physically able to meet with everybody individually, because I will be going around talking at all these. Okay.
And the other thing to mention is the UCD International Reception Desk, which is located in the Gerard Manley Hopkins Centre. Sarah is one of our colleagues. She will be located at the reception desk every day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. If you have any questions about opening a bank account or GNIB registration, or what documents you need, she will be able to give you this information. So you don't have to necessarily speak to Carl directly. We have all of this information at the International Reception Desk. So what I would say to you is, if you do have any questions, if it's around anything, if it's around GNIB, if it's around orientation, if it's any questions that you have, if it's where do I go and buy groceries in Dublin, any of those kind of questions. Also, all of our campus tours will be taking place from the reception desk. Do drop in, and Sarah will, if she will be able to advise you, and if she's not, then she'll put you in contact with the correct person. So there's no issues just dropping in anyway and asking your questions firstly to staff members who are in the international office, and then if we need to put you in contact with anyone else, we will. So that's something to bear in mind.
Have all of the leaflets around the certificate of registration, the re-entry, multi-entry visa, APS numbers, third level graduate scheme, how to buy a bicycle,
medical insurance, health insurance,
like that. There's leaflets there, so it can get very busy at the desk. But you can walk over and you'll see the leaflets. They're just to the left of the desk, and you can pick up one of those leaflets.
So all of this information is there.
Confidence in yourself. Read these documents, that you actually will understand them as well, because that's important. Now, this Google Hangout, I hope it's been helpful to you. But Lorraine is also going to put it. Will it be up from tomorrow?
It'll be up from this evening. So I'll post it on our Facebook page. The other thing to mention is, we have an incoming students Facebook group. So if you go to Facebook and you type in UCD International Students 2016-2017, you will see our group. Please join it. Lots of students are already connecting there and chatting, and they're arranging different activities. So that is where a lot of information is posted as well as our website. I'll put the link there. You'll also see it on my YouTube channel. So if you go to Lorraine Wood's YouTube, you'll find it. All of this information. I'll post the link to this Google Hangout there as well. So that's where it'll be viewed. Also.
And I've got that information up on my delay on reply to emails. So if you don't get an email back from me, don't be too surprised. But there is information. So we've given you a lot of information today, and I know it would be hard to take it all in, but you can go back and have a look at the YouTube, and you'll be able to see.
And I'll post the links again. As I said, I'll post the links in relation to documentation for GNIB, in relation to opening bank accounts. I'll post it on the Google Plus page as well, so you'll have it. You'll see the links to the website there if you can't find it on the website. I think that's it. I think we've covered everything, and we've covered all of the questions. Thank you very much for your questions. Thanks for logging in. We very much look forward to welcoming you to campus next week on Monday. If there's anything during orientation week, or even after orientation week, if you've any questions or queries or any issues or problems or worries, please do drop into the international office. As I said, we're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. There's always staff here and available to help with you. Obviously, you can talk to your program coordinators and staff in the program office too if you have any questions. But that's kind of the main message, is please don't be shy. Please ask any questions that you need to ask, and we're happy to help anytime during the year, in addition to all of the questions you might have for orientation week. But that's about it. Thank you very much to Carl for answering all the questions and for all of this information. And yes, we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you.
Okay, take care.